What is up, everyone? Today we're going to have a look at Dusan Vlahovic, and with Fiorentina supposedly setting a price of 80 million euros for any club to come and sign him, unsurprisingly Liverpool have been linked with the centre forward. Therefore, what we're going to do today is have a bit of a look into how he plays within this Fiorentina system, what he's good at, what he's bad at, how naturally he would fit into a Liverpool system, and just sort of see whether Dusan Vlahovic would be a useful signing to this Liverpool squad. My name's James Dean, this is LFC Transfer Room, and this is a deep dive into Dusan Vlahovic. Dusan Vlahovic is an out-and-out centre-forward. Left-footed, 79% of his passes and shots are left-footed, so a left-footed player, which is quite rare for a centre-forward, brings me back to the Robbie Fowler days. Born in January 2000, he's only 21 years old and currently leading the scoring charts in Serie A. So the first thing I like to do when I'm looking at a player is go on FBref and see what sort of players are similar to Dusan Vlahovic, because I don't watch a lot of Fiorentina play, but there may be a player on there that I'm a little bit more familiar with. And you can see straight away the player that he is most comparable with is Jamie Vardy. Now, as we know, Jamie Vardy is a ruthless goal scorer who probably doesn't get that involved in the build-up play, creating chances for teammates or sort of interlinking play. He is just an out-and-out finisher. However, I probably would assume that Jamie Vardy plays a lot more on the last defender, and looking at some of the goals that Vlahovic has scored, he's a little bit more of a target man type centre-forward, which is where they may differ slightly. What they are both great at is give them an opportunity and they will put it in the back of the net. So first and foremost, let's have a look at, over the last 365 days, how Dusan Vlahovic compares to other centre-forwards across world football. And as we can see here, his goals put him in the top 3% in world football over the last 90 days, or the 97th percentile. His non-penalty goals put him in the top 10%, which means he is a penalty taker, and he's in the top 3% of penalty takers in world football as well. Which is good for Liverpool because we've got Mo Salah, who's a great penalty taker, but if Mo Salah's not on the pitch, our next choice probably isn't that strong when everyone's had a go, and we did go through a period of not scoring that many penalties. So another one is probably a good thing for us. If we then move on to his shooting statistics, we can see he's in the 29% for total shots taken and the top 22% for total shots on target. In the top 16% for goals to shots ratio. So he is a very efficient scorer, one of the top scorers in world football when it comes to opportunities to conversion. And at 21 years old, you can only assume that that's going to improve and put him in a better team with clearer opportunities. That will probably improve again. He has had shots from free kicks, so he's a free kick taker as well, and I think with the left foot, he's just the right opportunity at the right point in time. Therefore, his goals XG puts him in the top 3%, and his non-penalty goals puts him in the top 6% of shooters in world football, which is exactly what you'd want from this type of striker. Where it gets a little bit concerning for Dusan Vlahovic is when you look at some of his passing statistics. So if you look at his passes completed, he's in the bottom 14% in world football, and his passes attempted, he's in the bottom 17% in world football, with the total passing distance being in the top 25%. So I think this demonstrates that he's not getting involved in play that much. He doesn't necessarily need to touch the ball a lot in a game. Not one of these strikers like Roberto Firmino who needs to drop back into midfield, get the touch and feel of the ball, and then get himself an offensive opportunity. Dusan Vlahovic, looking at these passing statistics, is a goal scorer who can drift out of games, disappear, and then just appear at the right vital moment and put the ball in the back of the net. When we look at most of his passing statistics, they are all well below average for centre forwards. This is a centre forward to centre forward comparison. It's worth noting that again. So he isn't what you would refer to as your modern day centre forward false nine, who is linking play, creating opportunities for your inside forwards in Salah and Mane to create opportunities. Dusan Vlahovic is 6-yard box, gets the opportunity, puts the ball in the back of the net. Next, if we look at his goal and shot creation, his shot creating actions are around about 2 per game, which puts him in the bottom 30% of forwards in world football. And his dribbles per game, successful dribbles that lead to a shot attempt, put him in the top 62% in world football for forwards. But again, everything in shot creating actions and goal shot creating actions seems to be around about the sort of 50% mark, 41, 50%, which is an average player. It's not necessarily a bad thing. There's nothing in here that's outrageously off. One thing probably worth noting is fouls drawn that lead to a shot attempt puts him in the top 22% in world forwards. That's probably being a big centre forward and people and centre backs climbing all over you if you're having that sort of battle in a game. Seems to be winning a lot of his fouls in areas that can create a shot creating action, which probably means he's functioning within sort of that 18-yard box and back, sort of between the goalposts as a classic centre forward would. When you look at his defensive stats, again, doesn't make for great reading. His pressures, he's bottom 20% in world football. Successful pressures, bottom 12%. Successful pressure percentages are bottom 30%. This is where I think this might turn Liverpool off from signing a player like Dusan Vlahovic, because our defence starts at the front and his statistics are really in the bottom quarter of world football for the forwards. His tackles are bottom 5%, tackles won bottom 8%. And yes, they could improve playing in a high pressure system. They could improve playing with Liverpool, who set traps and tackle and press in different ways. But when we look at someone like Diogo Jota, when he was at Wolves, he was naturally good at pressures and successful pressures and effort and running and contesting dribbles. And Dusan Vlahovic here has really bad stats when it comes to this, and it might just not be natural within his game, but it does show someone that probably would struggle to fit within a Jurgen Klopp team immediately. So if Liverpool were to sign him, we probably wouldn't be able to utilise him within our forward line very quickly without exposing ourselves to quick counters, which with such a high defensive line would create an opportunity for teams to score quite regularly on the counter-attack. So this is probably, if I was working for Liverpool, the area where I'd be most concerned, looking at his defensive stats, looking at his pressures. Whilst this may not be how Fiorentina play, when he does put pressure on a player, even if they're playing a low block in their own half and he puts a bit of pressure on, the numbers are not good, the successes are not good. It's all sort of at the lower end of world football. So what reassurances could Klopp have, or the transfer team, that this would make a significant impact or would make a significant change and have some success? You would be hoping to try and find a statistic in here where you could hang your hat on him to go, okay, well, this isn't how Fiorentina play, but look at his pressure success. As much as he does, 11 pressures per game, his success rate is around about 40%, or his pressures are a little bit higher, and it's just not good reading. His blocks, interceptions, tackles and interceptions, doesn't look like he's reading the game particularly well from a defensive standpoint. This does very much look like a player who is just I put the ball in the back of the net, which may be great for certain teams, but I'm not necessarily sure in this Liverpool team that function as a unit that it would necessarily function the same way. It would have to have a significant change in the way that we press and we defend, in my view. If you disagree, please put it in the comments. Please put it on Twitter or anything like that. If you do think that this is just a statistical anomaly and you think, oh, actually, I think he could do quite a good job defensively, always happy to have that conversation. But for me, this would be quite a concerning set of statistics from a Liverpool perspective away. So to summarise, I don't think Dusan Vlahovic would be a good signing for Liverpool. I don't think he can fulfil the defensive duties that Liverpool would expect of a centre forward. Whilst I don't expect him to have pressing stats that are matching with the Liverpool players, everything within his passing, his distribution, and his pressing is in the bottom third of world football. Yes, he can put the ball in the back of the net. He seems to be incredibly successful in scoring goals. But scoring goals is not Liverpool's problem at this moment in time. We are scoring goals anyway. We need a team player, someone that can feel comfortable within our systems. And I don't feel like Dusan Vlahovic is that type of player who would fit into the Liverpool system quite comfortably. I think if he was to sign for Liverpool, we probably wouldn't see much of him for the first year, whilst Klopp retrained him into being the centre forward that he was once having with Lewandowski, who does the pressing, who understands when to press, when to carry, who gets involved in play a little bit, but in the right ways. Unfortunately, I don't think his stats warrant a €80 million transfer fee for a team like us when we can score goals for fun. If I was to think of a club that would need a player such as him, West Ham come to mind. Man United come to mind. They need someone who, they can create opportunities, but they just need a ruthless finisher. They're not a pressing team really. Although with Ralf Rangnick, maybe there will be a little bit more. But more your teams that just need a ruthless finisher at the top of the park. Arsenal will be a great team for him. With all the runners and all the young kids that they've got in Saka and Martinelli. But from the looks of things, for me, it doesn't look like it would be a Liverpool signing. It doesn't look like it would be suitable for our system, and it doesn't look like it would be a successful transfer that we would jump forward, especially at an €80 million price. What do you think? Leave your thoughts and comments below. Do you think he is a Liverpool signing? Is there something that I've missed? Is there something that I've not mentioned that you think, well, actually, if you look at this is why he could be perfect for Liverpool? Please put it in the comments below. Make sure that you like and subscribe to the video. Me and the rest of the LFC transfer room team will put more videos looking at players Liverpool are linked with. But for now, thank you very much.